Right then, let's talk about Victor Lindelof and the resurgence that we've seen from Victor Lindelof in recent weeks. Been a bit of a revelation since coming into the side following the injuries to Rafael Varane and Lisandro Martinez. Quickly become flavour of the month, and deservedly so, especially since playing alongside Luke Shaw seems to suit him very well. His opportunities have been few and far between this season, but he always seems ready when called upon, seems to have a good attitude about being called upon and arguably being, second string. And for all that could have been said about everything that's happened with him this season, he's generally performed at times for Manchester United, and he seems like he's been unproblematic and quite professional and seemingly a valued member of the squad as well. When we've needed somebody to step up, he's answered the call, and he's been almost flawless and rounded into form when we need him most. He has been committed, and we've seen last-ditch challenges, sticking his head when it hurts, some great blocks that we've seen him getting out in and making things happen. He's been physical. He has been commanding. We've shown that he's composed. He's in the top 5 percentile for pass completion on short, medium and long passes. He has been alert. And they're not always traits that we've seen consistently aligned with Victor Lindelof over the years, but there has been clangers. But he seems like he's in a real purple patch of form when the abilities that he does have are starting to come to the fore. He's putting in real stellar performances against Brighton and Villa, two of the most informed, free-flowing, attacking teams in the league right now, and he's been the pillar at the back, the one centre-half in the team, and he's resulted in clean sheets in those games. Ollie Watkins is one of the most informed strikers in the league, 14 goals. And then, Ten Hag delighted with the defender's performance up against him. Very tough opponent. Said in the second half, you want to go 2-0, but we didn't. So it's always going to be a tough finish. Lindelof played brilliant. He was totally in control of the area around Watkins. And I have to completely agree with that. But then you've got the Maguire problem. So one of the most intriguing narratives around Manchester United this season has to be the effect that the partnership with Maguire had on not just Lindelof, but how Maguire as a narrative in total shapes out. This is, rightly or wrongly, the club captain. This is the record defensive signing. This is, surely, Ten Hag's number one choice at centre-half. Performances, form, and all the other things being played into that say that he isn't that. And even Lindelof, played alongside Maguire, has suffered. And you see that even alongside Luke Shaw, he looks a serious player. You always seemed that he fared so much better when he didn't play alongside Maguire. It's just not something that we saw often enough. Most of his career has been alongside Harry Maguire. Maybe Lindelof has been a functional player all along and has just suffered and looked substandard because he's been partnered with Harry Maguire all this time. Gary Neville spoke on Monday Night Football when the pair were starting regularly alongside one another back in 2021. He said, I want to make a point about Lindelof. Lindelof's problem is Maguire, and Maguire's problem is Lindelof. I think Lindelof, is a really good player, by the way. He understands the game, he reads the game. I think he's a good defender. I think if he was alongside a Rio or a Van Dijk, I think he would make a great pair. The problem is alongside someone who isn't the most mobile in Harry Maguire. And I think that's the problem Lindelof has got. They've actually invested 80 million in Maguire, so they're going to have to put somebody beside him. That looked like it was going to be the case. I no longer think that that's going to be the case. I think Victor Lindelof could establish himself as Manchester United's third centre-half. And he's got a real chance at being a little bit more than that as well. Rafael Varane has shown himself to be relatively injury-prone since he's been at Manchester United. I think when fit, Varane probably starts ahead of him. But Varane's fitness is definitely a concern. So Victor Lindelof could, as third choice, end up playing almost every single game of a season, covering for the pair of them. Back in March on international duty, Lindelof admitted that he was considering his future because of a lack of game time. He said, of course, like every single player, you want to play every game, and I've not done that this season. But I haven't thought about that right now, and I'm focusing on the national team, then of course the rest of the season with the club. In the summer, we'll have to reevaluate it and see what's best. Recent reports suggest that United are about to trigger a contract extension in June to extend his deal by a further 12 months. Lindelof's current deal expires in June 24, but that decision will see him remain at the club through June 2025. He joined us for 31 million from Benfica back in July 2017, and since then he's made 223 appearances for the club in all competitions. I don't think he's expecting to be the first choice player when everybody's fit. But I do think that Ten Hag views him as valuable. And I think increasingly football is a squad game, and I think you need arguably 17, 18 first choice players. Behind the scenes at Carrington, he's regarded as a big plus because of his versatility. He's obviously adept at playing centre half, but he can fill in as a right back, which is something that would be a big plus. And even we've seen capable of filling in defensive midfield, a level of versatility someone like Harry Maguire just does not have. So there are some questions to consider. Is he worth keeping on squad depth for loan, bearing in mind Raphael Varane's injury record? Especially if it's an area we can't afford to reinforce in the summer. And especially with the fact that there's probably going to be the sale of Harry Maguire. Is it an option that you keep hold of him? You couldn't lose 2 in the summer, arguably 3 with Erik Bailly, I would say arguably 4 with Phil Jones, but let's not get too carried away. Or is it just a purple patch where Lindelof is maturing into his peak years and has benefited from maybe not playing as many minutes as everybody else? Where does he stand? Personally, I like Lindelof. I think he's got a good attitude. I think he's got a decent set of skills. And I think the way Manchester United want to play football, he is a capable defender. I don't think he's world class, and I don't think he'll be first choice. But I don't think you can have 22 players who all believe that they're the best in their position at the club. I think it becomes toxic, and I think you need to have a bit of a hierarchy. I think Lindelof playing 30 plus games a season, knowing that he's probably behind Varane and Martinez, as long as he was playing fairly regularly, which I think he could do, then I don't think there'd be a problem in keeping him. He doesn't seem like the sort to rock the boat. And when called upon, as proved this season, he's been more than capable and arguably man of the match in those 2 games that we mentioned. So I say keep him, I say extend him, and I say focus fully on having him as the third choice centre-half and not Harry Maguire. What do you lot say? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.